Okay, so this is really just a quick video response on the whole issue to do with this SocialDemocrat01. At the end of the day, the guy, or shall I call him a stupid wee boy, is not worth it. I gave you the definition of socialism in the previous video response. I did. And his own response was to come back with the nonsense that, you know, Kevin D. Williamson said this, that and the next thing, and this is the same guy that did this. Let's attack the author, but let's not even look at the argument. If you were to look at the definition of socialism in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, you would find it means state ownership. Yeah? And it's funny that, because when you look at all these socialist leaders, every one of them called themselves socialist. Even the Soviet Union boasted off for years about their socialism. Venezuela was the same. And the thing is with these socialists, they're hypocritical. Because there was a period when these socialists were calling Venezuela a utopia. The democratic socialists were calling Venezuela a paradise. Even the likes of George Galloway called Cuba a paradise. This is telling you that, in their own words, socialism has existed. But it only exists when they choose to tell you. When it only suits themselves. Just like Evo Morales with Bolivia. It's a socialist country. And who is it that owns the means of production? It's the state. It's the government. So in other words, from what we've seen, and from their own hypocrisy, from admitting their own hypocrisy, from what we've seen, socialism has existed. And the definition in the Merriam-Webster dictionary is accurate. But there he was in his previous video response just there. His video response where he came back, attacked Kevin D. Williamson on the definition of socialism, and then he gave his own definition, saying that, oh, it's community ownership of the means of production, it's workers' cooperatives and all this nonsense. Really? It's workers' cooperatives. So all these socialist leaders just lied for the sake of it. But then, that is why he's a hypocrite. This is why he contradicts himself. Because, whilst he can say that now, this was the same fool who argued that the likes of Norway, or Sweden, and Denmark, and all these other countries, he called socialist. He called them democratic socialist countries. He even said that in his video response. He called them democratic socialist. That's exactly what he called them. And that alone is laughable. As I pointed out, the reason why I pointed out that they were social market economies, because they're not social democracies. Although that is exactly what Sweden had. Between 1970 to about 1993. That's besides the point. He's contradictory. On one hand, he defends all this nonsense of democratic socialism. But there he is defending the likes of this stateless, moneyless bullshit of communism. The theoretical bull. He flat out denied the definition of socialism. And instead of targeting that, he goes on to say that socialism is community ownership of production. Yet he contradicted himself. Because this is the type of idiot that in a year's time, that if you pulled up an argument with the idiot about Bolivia, he would bang off and boast off about Bolivia being socialist. Bolivia is state ownership. He's an antagoniser. He's just an arsehole. Why argue with him? There's no point. Take my advice. Block the idiot. Don't even respond to him. He's not worth it. He's irrational. Doesn't matter how many facts you provide an idiot like him with. Facts are not something they accept. Facts are something that's basically put in a back seat with idiots like him. I would go as far as saying he is one of those evil socialists. He is one of those people who would want to line you up and have you killed. He is. No rational-minded person can stare in the face of all those millions of people who were massacred and just ignore it for their own agenda of their religion called socialism. These people like to have you believe they are in the majority. They're not. The majority of the rational-minded people know that people like him are crackpots. Most people I know understand the importance of the private sector. Most people do. They're just quiet. They don't comment on YouTube. You don't see them, elsewhere or making posts, etc. They just keep quiet. Because they don't bother their backside. You're dealing with irrational people that like to be loud about it, to make them sound, as if they're the majority. They're not. You cannot take a crackpot like him seriously. And that's all I have to say in the matter. He's not worth it.